Hi, I'm Bruce Evans from the Line app messaging team. And today I'm going to talk about how we've been working to keep the Line app size down. As you might have noticed, it's kind of big. So the first question is, why do we need to keep the size down? Well, on iOS, you have the cellular download limit, but it also affects your speed and your storage space on the user's device. In both of those cases, we want to keep that down. Now, how big is the app actually? It is not 1.3 gigabytes. That's a fake one. But if you look at this chart, this is the size of the Line app over the past 2 years. As you can see, whenever we got close to a limit, we would start working to keep the app size down. And when we had a little room to work with, you'd see these big jumps. Until recently, when we've decided that keeping the app small is something we should work at all the time. We should be constantly keeping it smaller. And as you can see, we're slowly moving down recently. Now, before I go into what we actually did, I'm going to talk about the tools we used. The first tool is Image Optim, which takes your PNG files and makes them smaller without reducing quality. The other two are more important because they're for measuring your file size. You want to make sure that you know how big your app is so that you can know what to change. Grand Perspective is a Mac app that looks like this. This is actually a picture of what the Line app looks like. That big green square in the upper left is the Watch app. The big yellow square on the right is the Line app. And then we have a bunch of the assets, static frameworks, Swift frameworks, everything that gets packaged in your IPA and sent to Apple. However, as you can see, we don't know what makes up the Watch app. We don't know what makes up the Line app. That's where our next tool comes in. Bloaty is a tool created by Google. What Bloaty does is it takes your binary and it reads all the symbols in that binary and tells you the sizes of them. You can use a config file like the one on the left, which will match regex patterns, and group your results. That way you get a little cleaner result list on the right side, and you can see which features in your app are taking the most space. Now, what we did falls into a few categories, and most of this is going to be in the order we did it. We started out with image compression because that's the easiest one to do. Because that's the easiest one to do. Basically, we just ran all of our images through Image Optim, and that came out with a couple megabytes down. At the same time, Apple always says, don't do that, use XC assets. So we tried that. XC assets also reduced it about the same as Image Optim did. So we got the great idea of, well, let's do both. That didn't actually work. It turns out Apple will override it, and you'll get the exact same as if you just use XC assets, so you're just wasting your time. So we moved on and we said, okay, we got it as small as we can. What about downloading? Well, obviously, we can download from our own servers, and that is exactly what we do with stamps and with emoji. We can also download from Apple servers. So we tried that out, and it worked really good, except for a couple edge cases. So unfortunately, we don't use that in our app right now. If you want the radar, you can talk to me afterwards, and I can give that to you. Finally, we don't actually download from third party, but for other apps, it would be possible to use something like Parse or any other third-party library, Firebase or something like that. Now, at this point, we've got all of our resources done. So the only thing we can really do is start working on features. Now, pruning features is kind of risky because your users are using them. So most of the time, you're only going to be able to get the small features. None of the big features are really going to be able to be pulled out of the app. However, you can reevaluate the extensions your app is using. Extensions come with both binary size and resource size. In Line's case, we had the Today extensions. We actually had 2 of them. However, they didn't really fit how Line worked, and not many users used them, so we got rid of those. Lastly, we had a couple third-party SDKs. These SDKs were pretty old, and a lot of them could be removed because they were already done by the system. For instance, we had the 1Password SDK. That is now integrated into iOS, so we don't need it anymore. For other third-party SDKs, we found that we had entire libraries, and all we wanted was one category. Obviously, you can remove the library and keep the category. That keeps it nice and small. Or if you don't really care about being some subtle differences, you can also rewrite it yourself. Now, for more complex libraries, it's a little harder to work out. Obviously, the libraries have a lot more dependencies. They're not as easy to keep things going. And a lot of times, they're optimized pretty well. They're optimized pretty well. In those cases, you can actually turn to Apple for support. For instance, Google Maps and Apple Maps. Now, there's one caveat with this in that Apple Maps doesn't work on every country. A lot of countries have really bad support. So you may not be able to completely remove Google Apps, but if your app is something local, it should work pretty well. In Line's case, we also had a localization library. This is a relic that was in our app from way before anything was available in iOS. Now, using the new StringsDict, not necessarily new, I suppose, but using StringsDict, we were able to get rid of that library and use the new localization. Once again, it's not really new. We just didn't use it till now. Now, while we were doing all this, we were also fiddling with the Swift compiler. Obviously, the O size is a really good fix. It makes things a lot smaller, and the performance cost is not really too bad. I would suggest you use it if you're not too reliant on real-time performance. There's also reflection metadata. This can be disabled, and this will give you a huge size change. However, there's one big problem with that. Swift UI and Combine both use reflection metadata. So we actually tried this right before WWDC, and then we tried to use the reflection metadata, or tried to use Combine without the reflection metadata, and everything just went to a not good place. So, in the end, we were able to cut down on the app size by tens of megabytes. At the same time, we also grew by tens of megabytes. So despite the app not really looking like it changes too much, you have to always be cutting down. Otherwise, your app's just going to skyrocket the entire time. And that's the end of my presentation. So thank you.